Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of Signals from Mars. Joining me today is Nathan from Struck a Nerve. Nathan, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Rushed off my feet, but we're good. We're patching holes up here. Last minute crises over my phone blowing up with mistakes. But apart from that, we're good, man. Enjoying Christmas. And how are you?
I'm doing well myself. Not in crisis mode like you are at the moment, but hopefully you guys can straighten everything all out. So,
yeah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. So when people talk about the big four of thrash, they usually talk about four American thrash bands. You guys are obviously from England, from the UK. Who would you say are the big four of UK thrash?
Ooh, good question. It's a bit of an argument over here. So yeah, I mean, if you're talking old school, you've got to include Zentrix. You've got Sabbat, Slammer. We had some, Lawnmower Death. We had some killer bands back in the day. That's missing a whole bunch as well. But I mean, since then, Evil have definitely staked the claim. I think they definitely, late 2000s were definitely, I think, instrumental in popularising the thrash again, especially in the UK. So for me, they have to be in there. And I think arguably they ended up doing more than a lot of the old school bands did anyway. So yeah, I think they're sort of them and Zentrix for me are like really they're top of the pile for UK thrash. I would say Gamma Bomb, but they don't class themselves as being from the UK, so they're Irish through and through. So, right. They're close.
It was funny.
But yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're lucky. We've had some great bands over here, so we feel like we're continuing a pretty rich tradition in the UK.
Okay. Yeah, it was funny. I was researching the band and saw that your drummer had played in Gamma Bomb, and I was like, wait a second, are they from Northern Ireland or from Ireland? I don't want to mess that up just in case.
Yes, we still do. We're really terrible for it. They've shifted over time. I think they have a mix of kind of British passport. I think some of them lived close to Northern Ireland, but I think more over time their identity now is very much they're Irish. So that's that.
Okay. Okay, cool. How has being from Norwich influenced you guys as a band?
I mean, Norwich, in our old band, still my current band, Shrapnel, when we started, Norwich has always been, it's not like a backwater, but it's really out of the way compared to other places in the UK. When thrash really re-emerged here in the 2000s, it was very much a northern phenomena. London is London, so it was certainly sort of quite alive there. But Norwich is, it's a pretty sleepy city. I've since moved away. I've been away from Norwich here in Oxford for 6 years or something. And since I've been away, actually, Norwich has now absolutely exploded. The scene there really is like amazing. Every time I go back now, I'm blown away with there's like a new incredible band. And they're all super young, really enthusiastic. Every venue you go to is like feels really alive. And yeah, so it's been really nice actually this time around to sort of be inspired by the local scene. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible. We've got a young band called Birdwitch who literally, they're like 19, 20, and they're packing out venues, and it feels really alive. So when we shows now, it really it puts the wind to really drive forward and see sort of these young bands coming through and up the arse a bit, to be fair.
Yeah, that's always good. It makes sure that you're not comfortable and just kind of set in your ways, makes you kind of evolve and keep moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really turned the shows that we do back home into such a mixed crowd as well. And it's lovely to see. It's been, I think every single show we've done in our hometown has been amazing. So it's been, we feel pretty fortunate to sort of be part of it, really.
Okay. So the self-titled Struck a Nerve album came out last month in November. But you guys have been releasing singles since the spring of 2024. Is there a specific reason why it took so long from the first single to the actual full album coming out?
I think in terms of like the aims of the band have changed. Like when we started, me and Chris, we were really doing it for a bit of a laugh. It was something we did downtime, but with our other band, and we were just like a bit bored, so we started this new thrash thing, and we wanted to kind of soft launch it. So we just did a few shows to start with, and it picked up a lot of momentum like really quickly. So coming into 2025, we had the entirety of the drums already recorded for the record, so we had an album sat there, and we were just kind of working on it as and when in our own time, really. Yeah, and we kind of soft launched things, but as 2025 started, we did a tour in early 2025, and it just went absolutely amazingly well. We dropped a new single, and it did really well, and just really, yeah, again, it sort of put the wind in our sails to be like, oh, this is actually something worth us doing properly. And so we got the album done, and it turned into something that we were doing as a bit of a side thing to something that we're putting a lot of time into, and just amazed at how well it's growing, really.
Okay. And you guys hooked up with Listenable to put the album out. How important is Listenable to Struck a Nerve? What do they help you guys with, and what has it meant for you guys to sign with a label like that with their reputation?
Yeah, we've been blown away. We were really lucky. We were going to do everything DIY. We've had this kind of strong kind of DIY sort of began, and we really had no intention of getting a record label. And it wasn't until we were on tour with our friends in Chemicide, who they just put a record out with Listenable as well. Frankie was just saying to me on the road, he was like, "Man, give them a try. You have to. It's been going really well for us." Because he's always been the same with Chemicide. They've always been very DIY, and he kept singing their praises. Our friends in Devastator are on the same label, Zentrix as well, and they've all said the same thing. Just a really good label. Check them out. So yeah, we got back from this UK tour in summer. I was like, okay, man, I'll send them the record. Not really expecting to hear much back. And literally 2 days later, after sending Laurent, our label guy, literally 2 days later, it came straight back. It's like, right, let's do this, let's go. And he's been incredible. It's been, just super fast moving on getting all the vinyls produced, getting all the PRs. It's been we've been blown away. We've not really had that experience with a label before. We've had kind of a bit of a fractious history with label stuff. So to see it working as I think it's supposed to, and being a smaller independent, and sort of, they're a label who are quicker to react to things. They can get stuff done when it needs to be done. So we were originally supposed to release the album in November. We got signed, and then they were able to turn it. Sorry, we were supposed to release it in October, and then we delayed. They got everything printed, everything ready. Our advance came through within like a month, and it was all done and in my hands already. So yeah, it's been an incredible experience. I think we're really excited to see what we do with them next in 2026.
Okay. Yeah. So you've also alluded to this. You're a member of the band Shrapnel as well. Both bands are still currently going.
Yeah, it's a bit of a balance, but
both bands are obviously sonically different. They're still metal bands, but there definitely differences between them. You mentioned before that Struck a Nerve kind of came out of almost like a joke initially, but obviously in order to write this, you've got other avenues that you're looking to travel with, the different types of music that you're able to write. Even though it started out that way, has there been a feeling along the way for you, I've got this other side of me, I want to do something a little different, I love this, but I also love this?
yeah, I mean, that's been the case all the way along. So, I got into metal in the late 90s, and I'm one of those people who I was a sponge with it when I was growing up. Like, I love everything, doom metal, 70s rock, 70s metal, 80s. I love hair metal. I'm a punk fan. I'm a cross punk fan. So I'm always, and I'm a bit, in general, my personality is very much, I flick between things all the time. So, like, much since we started, we've been going 16 years, and I've always wanted to do something different with it each time. So we started as very much, we were in that early wave, and each album we tried to make really different. We were sort of inspired by death metal at one point, heavy metal at one point. The newest stuff is much more sort of metalcore, modern stuff. Thrash has been my, Exodus, Slayer, all that stuff has been my bread and butter since I was a kid. So it's my and me and Chris as well. The stuff that we like to write together is very much, just struck at him with no external pressure, no box ticking, no expectations, just me and my friends writing the music that we love. So I think in a way it's a bit of a return to stuff I've done in the past, and sort of a return to like the core music that, all four of us, that's our, that we share. We're all Slayer fans. We're all sort of Big Four fans. We love our old school thrash and death metal and stuff. So yeah, I think it's just a return to those sort of basic building blocks of what we love, really.
Okay. And the songs that are on the self-titled debut, are they songs that you started writing when you decided that you wanted to put this project together, or are they things that you had?
Yeah, no, they were all, most of the albums written within like 3 months, really.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Chris himself, our drummer Chris, is a good songwriter himself. So he got, especially during COVID, he got really sort of programming drums and stuff. So he was able to send me like full songs. So something like Raining Death on the album is, he just sent me over a full drum track with kind of ideas of, how riffs should be highlighted and things like that. So between me and him, we wrote the vast majority, I think, in like early. I can't exactly. The timeline is really blurry because we did it as a bit of a giggle, just me and my mate.
Right.
It's hard to remember the exact timeline, but I remember we wrote this thing like really, really quickly, and then maybe things like Leviathan Wings came a little bit later as we were sort of booking in for recording. But yeah, it was done really quickly, and what you hear is, what we wrote at the time. So.
Okay. And you just mentioned that with Shrapnel, you've gone through different phases of the band. So how did you choose to keep these songs all struck a nerve and not save any for Shrapnel?
I think the two things are sort of vastly different now, and there's two different mind spaces to be in, right? So when we're doing struck a nerve stuff, it's very much savage, short, sharp thrash music that we love, and then I think, the other side of my mind with the Shrapnel stuff more lately has been, this is something year and really sort of ponder over and be a bit more melodic and a bit more, just too dependent on the mood that we're in. So we're getting busy at the minute writing a follow up for Struck a Nerve, and it's very much, getting into the mindset of, this is the mission. We're doing these like brutal short thrash songs, and that's just one avenue of things that I love. So I don't find it too difficult to flip between the two things. Okay. It's been, that's the mode we're in at the minute. So we're cracking on.
Okay. You're writing album number 2. You're saying you foresee sitting on the tracks for a little bit then?
Yeah, I think we're probably about halfway there, to be fair. I think we'll be doing a lot of writing in the sort of literally in the next week or so. We'll be trying to get quite a bit done before everybody returns to normality for the new year. But yeah, I think probably trying to get into the studio. We might be trying to get in a bit earlier than that to do. There's an idea of maybe putting an EP out before our next tour. But yeah, it'll come together pretty quick, I think. Especially, we've got Aaron and Lex sort of on board right from the beginning of the process this time as well. Mm-hmm. And Lex is an amazing songwriter, absolutely incredible guitar player. So the stuff he's been sending over is great as well. So I think it's going to come together, pretty quick over the next couple of months.
Okay. And outside of the separation you just mentioned between Shrapnel and Struck a Nerve, was there anything else that you specifically wanted to do on this album that you hadn't done in the past on any of your previous work?
Yeah, I think really keeping things tight. Like we really wanted to aim for a half an hour record. We really set that, 32, 33 minutes is like, that's the maximum. We're not going over that.
Yeah.
Because I think it keeps us constrained without, we did an album with Aaron before with Shrapnel. He was on our third record. And and it ended up being like an hour long. It's a cool album and stuff, but I think it's overwritten, and we didn't set enough guardrails on, you know, trying to prevent ourselves from going too far and doing too much. So I think this time we were really much like, this is going to be half an hour. That's what we're doing. It's going to be 8, 9, 10 songs max. That's the rules, and that's the only rules we've got. We're keeping it short. So I think, yeah, that was certainly in our minds. And we've never really approached an album like that before. We're going to keep this as energetic as possible, and if it's longer than 32, it's not on there.
Yeah.
But I think that's really helped the record. I think it's made the album really streamlined and catchy, and something that you want to put on. Maybe.
Definitely, I would have to agree with that. It is 32 minutes exact, and it's funny because I had this discussion with another thrash band recently. How I think the music lends itself to that as well, and makes it an easy listen, like you said, where you could listen to it a bunch of times without an issue. I think this happened back when the CD started becoming super popular, where bands could put out albums that were 74 minutes long, but it wasn't necessarily a good thing either, because especially for, I think, thrash, for a lot of bands, it got to a point where it was like, okay, well, I get it. The label asked for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, or whatever. So these last like
Yeah,
5 songs just aren't as good as the rest of the album. Where if it was a tight, as you're saying, half hour, you know, a lot of those older albums would have been perfect, because you would have been able to cut away some of the fat. And like you guys are doing, maybe it would have lent itself so some of the songs that were maybe half baked at the time could have had more time for seasoning or whatever, and been fleshed out a little better for a follow-up album or an EP.
yeah, I think so. I think it depends on the songwriting as well. Like, you think March of the Prophets is what, 51 minutes long, something like
Mhm.
that, right? But the songwriting is perfection, so they can
Yeah.
get away with it, right? So, would I want a Slayer album that was 70 minutes long? Absolutely not, right? I don't want to be pummeled by that same sound for that long. This needs to be 40
Right.
minutes and we're out. You think of it can work. So I think, Exodus Exhibit A especially, I think it's pushing your patience a little bit, isn't it? For like an hour 15 of face smashing. It's like,
Right.
it's a lot. And I think B, the second album, that pushes even my patience a little bit. But really well written albums, to be fair. So it
Mhm.
can be done. I just don't think our particular, that kind of shorter, like 8-minute long songs, and they're well written, great. I'm jealous. I wish I could do it, but I think if you're doing these sort of 3.5, 3-minute songs, you just can't. I think there's only so much of that before the idea of it gets dull, right? So, yeah, I think that's something we're probably going to. It feels right, and I think if you're starting to get to sort of that half an hour mark, and you're starting to cut things that are also really good, things of like, that's half an hour of
Mm.
solid, well written music. So yeah, I think that's going to be something that we try to stick to in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does your gear change between both bands?
It will, yeah. The Shrapnel's just gone. I'm terrible for change. So Shrapnel has just gone fully kind of. They've all the other guys have got in-ear monitors. They've got all that, my old school dinosaur heads. So it hasn't happened yet. But I mean, the sound of the two bands is remarkably different now. So I've gotten away with it so far.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're now in the process of actually, me with the Shrapnel stuff, going a bit more modern, and I'm kicking and screaming, but it is happening. Whereas, the Struck stuff's very much lead, head, done, wah pedal, you're good to go. So yeah, there is definitely a pretty massive difference forming. Thankfully, we got the Black Star endorsement, and they've been absolutely unbelievably helpful. Their headquarters is about an hour away from my house, so they've been brilliant at sort of kitting me out and getting me sorted. So yeah, it is happening, even if I don't like it.
What about tuning between both bands? Are you tuning the guitar different with each band? Because it seemed like with Shrapnel, you were tuned a little bit lower than you are with Struck a Nerve.
Yeah, recently. So Shrapnel was always E standard. We were always standard tuning right up until the newest album, then we dropped right down to C. But Struck a Nerve right flat, so it's been the Slayer tuning to me. And I think just that half a step down, it makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
It's something that, I mean, it's probably spoken about a lot by guitar players, but I think that even that minimal amount of tuning change can make such a huge difference to your even to your songwriting and just the sound of everything. There's a pretty big reason to me why the Struck stuff sounds a lot different, even to the early Shrapnel stuff. If you compare the first Shrapnel record to the debut Struck a Nerve, they're really quite different. And a lot of it is just that semitone down. It just makes you. I mean, for me, it just physically makes me play a bit chunkier.
Mm.
It makes me. It might strings get a little bit looser, so you just get that different feel when you're writing stuff and playing stuff. So yeah, I think it's a really good way of just forcing yourself to play differently and affects your songwriting and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, we've talked about that on the show before, actually, with some of my patrons, how when bands started adapting and using drop tuning and stuff, how just that slight, the E flat, how it made it hard for people to pick up on playing songs because, everyone was used to just E standard and people were
Yeah, yeah,
playing a lot of stuff just wrong. And then, your typical interview or whatever, somebody says, "Oh yeah, we tuned the E flat," and like, "Oh, it makes sense now.
yeah.
So now I can
Yeah, I
play."
mean, some stuff it's a disaster for, right? I mean, I love Megadeth. They're one of my favorite things in the entire world. But seeing Megadeth playing in like D standard live, no, it takes away a huge chunk of character of the guitars for me. I still love them. I still go see. Yeah, just that it's one step, it's 2 note difference, but it makes a huge difference to the sort of live experience. I think, and to the sort of the bitey crunchiness that you expect from a thrash band.
Right. No, I get that. It's interesting because for years he talked about not changing the tuning, and then a few years back they started to do it, I guess, because of his voice. But
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll see with this final album how that all turns out. Um,
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, so I don't care.
you like the 3 tracks that they've released?
Yeah, I mean it's different now. So my I've got 2 kids who are now hugely into Megadeth and Iron Maiden, and for them it's their first
Right.
album cycle. So you live a little bit vicariously. So
Yeah, yeah,
we all know what the quality of it is. We all know, right? It's I wish the lyrics were different. They're not. But my kids are jumping around the living room, loving it. So vicariously live through it a little bit as well. So I'm super excited about
yeah,
it. We can't wait.
yeah. That's interesting because I have kids that my youngest just became a teenager, and listening to bands that I've listened my entire life, where you read things online or people are hypercritical of bands, but you see it through the eyes of somebody who hasn't lived through all of that. Where, as you're saying, it's their first new album by the band, and to them, it's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, uh, for them, the combination of Fortnite with Metallica or AC/DC was huge for them because they're like, "Wow, we listen
yeah,
to
yeah,
this music, and then now we're seeing it in video games." And they weren't arguing about whether it was Bon Scott or Brian Johnson, or
yeah,
whether,
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
72 Seasons is as good as Master of Puppets. They were just loving the music just the same. So it's awesome to see that kind of through virgin eyes and ears, without some of that.
yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the critiques are fine. Like critique is healthy, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, these bands don't have long left, so we're enjoying what we got left.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. So you mentioned to me, and you mentioned at the beginning of the show as well, that you've got a UK tour lined up. The announcement just came out. Can you fill us in on some of that?
Yeah, we can't wait. It's actually our label buddies, Devastator. We've known these guys. Actually, Tom was going to be our vocalist at one point. So, um, but yeah, they're an amazing black and thrash band from here in the UK. If you haven't heard them, like check them out. Really filthy, dirty black and thrash. It's great. Like if you like Knife
Mhm.
and bands like that, they're definitely well up there. But yeah, so we're super excited. We're going out for one leg with them. I think 4 or 5 dates. Yeah, 4 dates. I think next week we're going just on our own with our friends in Exorcism, who are again another amazing young thrash band who are up and coming here, doing some more dates with those guys. And then this really young thrash band called Bloodsore are coming with us, and Slayer. That's them basically. They're absolutely amazing. We played with all of them before, so yeah, we're super excited about that. It's the first, so it's going to be great to sort of see all the fans sort of were picked up over the last few months. And then yeah, we're going to be over in Europe in September, so a full 2-week European tour with our mates from Harlots from Australia, which is going to be absolutely mad because they're incredible as well. So yeah, and then we've got a lot of stuff happening in between. Looks like we're going to places like Bulgaria. We've got some shows in the Netherlands. So yeah, it's going to be forward to 2026. It's going to be a mad one. And then with all of Chris's commitments with Gamma Bob and my commitments with Shrapnel, going to be a pretty mad year, I think.
Great. And you're saying that there's possibly an EP that's going to drop?
Yeah, we're kind of debating what our next move is. Like, we're obviously not going to do a new record straight away. But at the same time, yeah, we're enjoying each other's company. We've absolutely loved this year, and it's been really nice for me to sort of be in the bands again with some friends that I haven't been in the band for a while.
Mhm.
It's been just a bunch of mates having an absolute blast for a year, so it's just been super productive. We've really been enjoying getting into the studio and starting, and we don't want to be sitting on stuff for like the next year. We've got these
Mhm.
new few songs that we started making, and we're super excited about them. So we're like, do we want to be sitting on these for 18 months or something out a bit sooner? But yeah, that's a conversation that we're now having. I think again, we need to speak to our lady before we make any promises. But yeah, I think we're just eager
Right.
to. We're super enjoying it. We're loving each other's company. We're loving just the experience of it. We've been blown away with the response. We had no idea that the album would do as well as it's been doing, and the interest we've been getting, let alone getting signed and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, we've just been really eager to write new music, and we're sort of loving it. So yeah, we're hopefully we'll have something out.
What would the EP look like? Just original songs? Would you throw a cover in there? Live
Yeah, I think
track?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think mostly our own stuff. We've got a few covers that we like playing, some Slayer stuff or whatever. But yeah, we're not really sure, to be honest. It's we're really cracking on hard with the new stuff. But obviously, we want to tour this first
Mm.
album. One of the downsides of doing a half an hour long album as your first album is, what do you play? So we're going out on a headline tour and we've got half an hour of stuff. So we've got to be okay, what are we actually doing there? So we've got to really think about that. Obviously, we've got a sort of back catalogue of Shrapnel stuff and covers. We want to keep moving forward as well. We're really enjoying it. So the stuff we've just been writing over the last few weeks, we're super buzzed about. And it's that feeling of, do we really want to, book a studio for summer and then be sitting around waiting for another 6 months to, maybe look at early 2027 before we're sort of enjoying it right now, and we want to keep, sort of pushing things forward. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that we're ready to get into a studio soon. So
Could you see doing any Shrapnel songs live like Struck a Nerve? Like maybe revamping them so they fit more of a Struck a Nerve style?
I mean, we have been. So obviously, like I say, Aaron was on one of our records, album called Palace for the Insane back in 2020. So we were at one point pulling from that stuff, but we've also, we want to keep these two things separate. They're their own things. We don't really want any overlap. So we want to yeah, we do want to reduce that. And we do just want to do struck a nerve stuff.
Okay.
So there's a big push stuff out because we also need to, right? So,
Mhm.
but it's yeah, I think that combination of like need, but also just enjoying the process. It's been absolutely lovely to sort of really be desperate to get into the studio. Like we've got these songs where I'm traveling back to Norwich quite often, and it's been such a good blast. And I think when you're in that really sort of happy space with it and that really productive space, yeah, we should be thinking getting new stuff out. But at the same time, we don't want to overshadow the first album. So an EP seems like somewhere next year might be a feasible.
Okay. Where should people go to keep up with Struck a Nerve online?
All the normal places. So we're active on Instagram, Facebook. We're on our Bandcamp page as well. We're trying to build a community over there. If you follow our YouTube page, our YouTube Shorts, we try and keep. We're really, as we start this new, yeah, we're trying to get like the community involved with it and really sort of show some of the process of that. So yeah, I mean, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, yeah, come follow us, and then all our videos are on the Listenable Records YouTube page. So go check all that stuff out.
Okay. And where can people go to purchase the Struck a Nerve debut album
Yeah,
and ensure that the most
I mean,
money gets back into your pockets?
so yeah, thankfully, Listenable are pretty great with sort of our deal is very good. So I mean, anywhere really. Probably the most direct is from our Bandcamp page, but again, it depends where you live, right? So it's probably easier to get it through Listenable. If you're in the UK, it's certainly easier to get from us, so you avoid all the import stuff. But yeah, we're on Bandcamp. You can pick, I think it's Bandcamp, Shrapnel. Sorry, not Shrapnel, wrong band. Struck a Nerve UK. Yeah, we've got all the vinyls, patches, CDs, everything, all the merch over there. So yeah, that's probably the best place, especially if you're in the UK.
Last question. You guys are one of the only bands that have named the band, have a self-titled album, and have a song. Uh, Also, Struck a Nerve by Struck a Nerve off of Struck a Nerve. Um, was that done on purpose, or
It
did it just
was,
kind of
yeah.
happen?
No, it definitely was. It's twofold. It's a bit of a statement, isn't it? It's like this is a new thing. This is our sound. But yeah, I'm a Black Sabbath my favorite bands. So Black Sabbath on Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. It was. I was laughing with my kids about this because they were like, "You've got to do the trio. You've got to have all three." I can't believe Megadeth have missed this opportunity to not call a song Megadeth. By the way, inexcusable. But yeah, for me, Maiden did it, Black Sabbath did it, so
Yeah.
we're doing it. Exodus did it, so yeah. No, they didn't actually. They didn't. But yeah, we've got the trifecta, so it's really silly. But yeah, I think that's just kind of fun. But it's also, yeah, it's a bit of a statement of, especially the song itself. It was demoing things. It really stood out as like this feels like a crowd song. This one feels like you could name a band after this song for us.
Right.
Yeah, and as we were writing, it really felt like, yeah, let's do it. And then really no alternative album title came up, so we were like, now to do the trio.
Cool. Well, Nathan, I thank you for coming on the show, and hope you're able to fix all of the stuff regarding the tour. Hopefully, you were able to sort
Yeah,
that
I'll
out.
find out in a minute. My phone will be full. Yeah.
And
It's one of the things we've been doing. Everything we're trying to do as much DIY as we can, and
yeah,
that includes, this UK tour is all we're doing it ourselves. We're booking it ourselves. There's a lot of learning that goes on when you do that kind of thing. So it's like, we've missed what? Oh my god! So yeah, especially when you're working collaboratively with another band. So us and Devastator we're figuring it out as we go. So
right. Cool. So hopefully you guys can sort all that out. Much luck to you and the band in 2026. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for your time, sir.
awesome! Cheers, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Signals from Mars live stream. You can watch the show live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, or check out replays on YouTube. Go to signalsfrommars.com for more information. This concludes our show.